everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be making a very soft and elegant card. So I was inspired by Yana Smkula here on YouTube. If you don't know her, look her up. She is a wonderful designer, and she used this Magnolia Bouquet foil and die set, and she did some beautiful soft pastel like pink coloring on it. And it was beautiful and it really inspired me. So we are going to do that today. So we will be doing some foiling. I have my glimmer system out. It is currently heating up. That's why it only has the red light and no green lights at all. It is heating up. I have some hammer mill cardstock here. That is what I use to do all of the things, but it is particularly good for glimmer foiling. This is gold foil from Spellbinders. And this is glimmer foil, not toner foil. If you use toner foil, it will not work. This is Trinity Stamps Vintage 10 Tile Foil Plate. So you can foil with this, but that is not how we are using it today. We are just going to do some dry embossing with that today. I saw Amy R on Prayer Paper and Ink. She dry embossed with it, and it was beautiful. And so we are going to do that today. I have... This is called Brush Sentiments. What's this called? This is called Scripted Sentiments from Altenew. And no, it's not. It's not from Altenew. It's Scripted Sentiments from Pinkfresh. Sorry about that. I'm just going to use one of them. It is a stamp, a die, and a foil plate, but I am only using the stamp and the die today. I have my plates and my shim for my foiling. I have my little cooling mat and my little magnet that picks up the hot dies or the hot foil plates. I'm using Pink Pearl ink and Rouge Artist Marker. Both of those are from Altenew. That Rouge marker we are going to use to color in our foiled images, and that Pink Pearl is what we are going to use to stamp our sentiment. So I have already taken out all of my hot foil plates from that Magnolia Bouquet from Spellbinders, and I have placed them with the pretty side up toward me. I'm going to place my foil where the pretty side of the foil kisses or touches the pretty side of the hot foil plates, and then I'm going to lay my cardstock on top of that. You could have definitely trimmed down this foil and not been quite as wasteful as I am, but I chose to use bigger pieces. That way I wouldn't have to be quite so specific on where I placed my cardstock and my foil. So I am letting that heat up. When the platform light has turned green, which it has here, I'm going to place my spacer pad, my shim, and my cardstock shim all on top of this. And then I'm going to hit that timer button. These are not quite as large as like a background die or a background foil plate or some of the foil plates that we've used in previous videos. So typically when this light turns green, when the timer button turns green, I just go ahead and run this through. I do try to hold onto these plates so they don't get that shift and I get some double foiling. And I do run this through back and forth pretty slow. This is real time. These plates require the pressure and the heat. And so your heat comes from this glimmer system and your pressure comes from your die cutting machine. And so in order to get good results, I have discovered that if I go slowly, I get better results. So we're going to go ahead and take our pads off. I put that back into the docking station and I'm going to peel this foil off, and it is beautiful. I had a little bit of mist foiling off on this leaf right here, but not enough that it makes me want to scrap the whole thing or scrap that image. In fact, I end up using that particular leaf in the finished card, and nobody can really tell that it was double foiled. While I repeat that for 3 different panels, I'm going to die cut out these foiled images, and I will do that for all 3 panels, and I will heat foil or glimmer foil all of these. When I'm done, this is all I have. So these right here in this bottom right corner that I'm framing right here, that is one of every single hot foil plate. If you notice, the leaves don't really have anywhere for you to color. They are a solid a more solid image. So whatever foil you use, that is the color that those leaves are going to be. There's really nothing for you to color. So speaking of coloring, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I am using an artist marker, so it's an alcohol marker from Altenew, and it is in the color Rouge. And like I said, I got my inspiration from Giannis Makula, and so she used a very pale pink to color in her images, just to give them just a little bit of color. And there are magnolias that are a pale pink, and they are beautiful. And so I was very inspired by her, and I am just doing some light flicking. Where I want this to be the darkest is where I'm applying this pink ink. I am not a very good colorer, and so this is what I've got. That was kind of a practice piece. I hadn't die cut that very well, and so that was more of a practice piece. I do think I end up using that and kind of using leaves to mask my poor die cutting. But I'm just going to go through all of these flowers. Like I said, the leaves are a solid image, and there's really nothing to color on those. But these flowers, there is some space to color. And so I'm going to go through, and the same concept applies. At the base where I want it to be the darkest, I'm going to apply the ink, and I'm going to flick upward toward the end of the petals to give me some color. I will do that for all of these flowers, and then we will move on to the next step. After I've colored all of these flowers in, I'm going to do some dry embossing. So I have my magnetic plate, base plate. I have a rubber, like tan mat, and then I have my cardstock. Normally I would spray like with a mist of water the cardstock. I didn't feel the need to do that, and I was kind of gambling that this wouldn't like crack the paper. And then I'm using that tin tile from Trinity Stamps, and I have placed that in my cardstock in the center of that plate, and then I'm putting this embossing plate on top and running that through. This was a very, very tight squeeze. Not tight enough that I thought I was going to ruin my machine, but I definitely did not need a shim of any variety. So this turned out beautiful, number one. Isn't that gorgeous? I have not seen this actually like foiled, but just as like dry embossing, it is beautiful. Both sides are beautiful. So for this sentiment today, I really only want to do this one, the you are on my mind. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to take a scrap of white cardstock and place my paper so that the sentiment that I want to use is fully covered. You could absolutely go through and stamp this entire image on a piece of cardstock and have a whole bunch of spares and just slip them in the back of your stamp pocket. I just chose not to do that today. I will probably come to regret that, and I should have probably just done it. But I was using pink ink to stamp this, and I wasn't sure that I would ever use a pink sentiment for a different card. And so I just chose to use the one that I knew I was going to use on today's card. So because I've never used this stamp before, it's kind of sticky, and so I used that to my advantage. I stuck the sentiment, the die cut image, to the back of that stamp, and it stuck there. And then I was able to stick that onto my sticky mat, and it stays in place. And then I can take that pink pearl ink from Altenew and stamp it out. I'm just making sure that I didn't shift anything around before I actually stamp this. I do rub my hand on the back of this stamp, just the one I'm using, because like I said, I've never used it before, and this will help take some of that manufacturing residue off and help it accept the ink a little better. I do end up stamping this twice. The kind of middle of the sentiment didn't stamp very well. It wasn't terrible, it just could have been better. So I did end up stamping this twice to get a good impression. So there is that image all die cut. I'm just going to adhere the dry embossed panels flat to the card. I chose to use the side that was flatter, I guess you could say, as the background. You could have used the side that was more textured. That's totally up to you. Both sides, like I said, are beautiful. I just chose this side for my card today. I'm then going to arrange my flowers. And this took me some time, so I did not record all of the arranging and planning. In fact, this wasn't the original design I had in my mind. I kind of had them more in like a spray off into the corner, but plans adapted. So this is the arrangement that I want, or at least pretty close to. What I have here is some press and seal. So one side of your press and seal is sticky, the other side is not. I'm going to put the sticky side onto my panel, how I want it arranged, and then I'm going to press down pretty firm. No, this does not mar or blemish your foil at all. It is not tacky enough to do that. When I was die cutting, I was ensuring that my tape did not touch my foil, because even though that purple tape from Altenew is pretty low tack, it still can take off some of your foil. But this press and seal, I've never had it take any of my foil off. So no worries there. So I have a couple of flowers that I want to pop up on on Instant Dimension foam tape from Altenew. And so those I'm not really adding a whole lot of glue to. It's this, there's a middle flower and then there's another flower off to the side, and I'm not applying glue to those. I do flip it over and apply glue like you see me doing here to all of the other flowers. And then what this allows me to do is to pick this all up in one piece and adhere it down. I don't have to pick up each individual piece and adhere it one by one, which is a lot of time, and I never get things right back where I wanted them without fail. And so this was just a much quicker way to do this. You can thank Jennifer McGuire's husband for the creation of this super awesome crafting tool. People are supposed to use it in their kitchen, but I use it in my craft room. And so you can reuse this piece of press and seal again and again and again. If you are watching this and you live overseas, I know that press and seal is pretty difficult to get your hands upon. And so Simon Says Stamp actually sells it in their shop. And I think there may be a couple other companies that do as well, but I know for sure Simon Says Stamp does. So I am just very slowly peeling this off and kind of keeping the flowers that I want to pop up on foam tape, because I didn't apply glue to them. I'm just kind of putting my fingers on them so that they don't move. Then I will grab that Instant Dimension foam tape from Altenew and apply a piece to the back and tack those down in place. There were a couple gaps that I noticed, and so I do take some leaves and adhere those in those gaps, and I adhere those down flat. I do not pop those up. I did go through my stash and find some pink little pearls that I felt coordinated very well, and I adhered those down with my reptile glue and my little jewel picker, and that is the card complete. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you felt inspired, and we will see you next time.